Welcome, everyone. I am the villain, Haven Pendergast, and that is Midnight walking around behind me. And this is Jack of All Trivia presents one-on-one, and I am joined by a good fellow combatant, a good fellow human being. He is Sean Sicario Sandberg. What's up, brother?
Not too much, man. Just enjoying the fact that I'm going to be here on this fantastic interview show. My team partner got interviewed the other night, and so yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
Nice. Let's talk about your love for the Schmodown. When did you start watching matches? Do you remember the first time you got into it?
So a little bit of backstory with me. I've been watching the Schmoes since their inception review in 2010.
Oh, wow.
So I've been with them for a very, very long time. I used to call in during the Toad Hop days, and if you can find the episodes, I don't know if they still have them around. There's one that people won't know that it's me, and there's two that it's pretty obvious that it's me if you know me. I called in one time as Bane. This was back when The Dark Knight Rises came out, and I called in as Bane, and I said, "Oh man, I've been trying to get through for hours." And basically, Harloff and I wound up going off on a riff for a little bit, and then the following week, I called in as Cleveland. Now, prior to that, I had called in doing a voice, and I said, "Fuck you, Josh McCouga," at one point because he had never seen the Goonies. And they cut off my call, but Harloff started laughing his ass off. And so it's one of those things where, like, I've been around for a little while. So I've been watching the Schmodown since it started. And, you know, I've been such a huge fan of these guys because, you know, I got into movie reviews back in 2009 with Spill.com, and then that moved into Jeremy Johns, and Jeremy Johns wound up promoting the Schmoes, and yeah, it's sort of been the way that I got into the whole movie trivia Schmodown. They started doing it, and when they started doing it, I was always playing along every single week.
That's pretty awesome, man. What made you become a movie lover? Do you remember, a couple films that you watched where you're like, yeah, this is what I'm into?
God, okay. So a couple of them are going to be ones that, like, every film geek will say. So, like, Indy, Indiana Jones, Star Wars films. But my dad always talks about probably the biggest time I ever freaked out during a film. And that was, we were watching Shaun the Sheep. No, it wasn't, it's not called Shaun the Sheep. It was the Robot Trousers one from Wallace and Gromit. The one where and Shaun the Sheep comes down and he kicks that metal dog and he sends him into this friggin' into this chipper basically. And yeah, apparently I jumped up when I was like 4 years old and went, yeah! And like freaked out super hardcore because I was like super into Shaun the Sheep. So I would say that, Indy, Star Wars, and a variety of other films, when I was growing up. Like, those were really got me into film when I was a small kid. And then when I was a little bit older, I wound up getting into, like, David Lynch and, Fincher and friggin' all these other different amazing filmmakers, Stanley Kramer. And they changed my perception on what film could be. And so, yeah, I'd say, yeah, that's what really got me into it at a young age. But then, as I got older, tastes change, obviously.
Oh yeah, awesome, man. That's pretty cool. Once once they moved to Collider and they started doing the Schmodown, everybody that watches and loves it. Were you obviously you were playing along? How were you doing in the first couple times you watched it? Were you winning the matches against the people on YouTube? Were you keeping track? Were you like, holy shit, I'm pretty good at trivia?
I was keeping track. I was doing pretty well. I was doing pretty well. There were matches I would win. There were certain people that would get the best of me, though. That's the whole thing. Like Mark Riley. So I was about like 18, I think, or 19 when I started, when the Schmodown really started. Yeah, no, I was 19 when the Schmodown started. And Mark Riley at the time for me was like the guy that I just couldn't get the best of whenever I saw any of these matches, and I was like, God damn it, that guy's just so freaking good. And then, the more time goes by, you work and you work and you work at it, and then there's guys that come in like John Roca and Dan Merle. And to me, like watching those guys was a continual evolution of trying to make yourself better. And I I just love anybody that comes into the league like that. Like when Bibiani first came into the league and he had that match with Andreyko, I saw him and I was like, I don't think I can ever beat that guy. I don't know if that's going to be possible. He's such a freaking beast. And then Ethan Irwin shows up, and I'm just like, holy shit, this guy has such a retention that it's unbelievable. And there's one guy that's going to show up in the team tournament during Anarchy that I have an incredible deal of respect for, and I can't wait to see him compete, even though he and I never got to do our match. And I think he's going to be the guy that's going to really, really put the league on notice next.
Yeah, that's true. That's one thing, I look back on and I was like, man, I should have did more with him. If I had a chance. He was always open. He was one of those guys that I respect wholeheartedly, Mr. Ellison, or excuse me, yeah, Ellison. He was always friendly. He was always happy to play trivia. Like most people, well, there's always 50-50. Some people, we ain't gonna talk about the whiners and the crybabies, but he was upstanding. He was upstanding, and he was always willing to play matches. When other people weren't gonna play, he was one of the guys that stuck around. So I do appreciate that with him. But we're talking about Sicario. Where did you get the name from? Obviously, the nickname.
So okay. I started playing on the Movie Trivia Schmodown app because I've got an iPad and I used to have an iPhone. And I was just like, okay, well, they asked for a nickname. What should I come up with? And it's like, I'm not going to write, Sandberger or something like that, which is, I got called growing up every friggin' day. And I wasn't a fan of that. So I was like, okay, what's a film I really love? And I came up with Sicario because I love Benicio del Toro's performance in that. And I love Denis Villeneuve's direction and Roger Deakins as well. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to just go with Sicario. And so, yeah, even if you check the Movie Trivia Schmodown app right now, I'm 465 and 127. I'm the number one ranked guy there, even though they don't do online matches anymore. I think there was something to do with like just paying for that, or maybe it was just server space that they needed. I don't know. Or maybe they're just waiting to get the Android app fixed up. That way everything can go smoothly. I don't fully know. But yeah. But currently I'm ranked number one there. And yeah, Sicario was just the nickname I wound up going with. So now it's just become my nickname amongst these different leagues. So, yeah.
True. Oh, see, I thought it was because I thought you picked that nickname because the way you body motherfuckers when you play, killing them.
Well, I mean, that was the aim when I picked the nickname, but yeah, no, it's one of those things where I just wanted I wanted a good nickname. Like I've heard certain nicknames where I'm like, oh, that's a good one, that's a bad one. There's certain ones that are great. Like for example, like not to stroke the ego of Paul Oyama, but I think Primetime, if you're a good enough player, is a phenomenal nickname.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And there's certain ones that kind of suck. So
yeah.
I just wanted a really good nickname. And one of the things that kind of always bugs me a little bit about it is like when you give yourself a nickname, it never fully has the same level of weight when someone else gives you a nickname. So when someone actually calls me Sicario or something like that, it actually means a lot to me because it's like, oh fuck,
Yeah. Yeah.
someone kind of just recognized that it's like, oh wow, that's a good nickname for him. So that makes me happy.
Let's talk about your early days when you first started playing trivia. In a league. You remember what league it was? How'd you get involved?
It was you guys. It was
Oh,
Schmo Bros at the time.
yep.
Friggin' yeah, it was the Schmo Bros at the time before it was Jack of All Trivia, and the very first match I had, I can't remember who I was supposed to play against at first, but they dropped out and C-Dub jumped in. So what happened was I wound up playing against C-Dub, and then I went 6 out of 8. He went 4 out of 8. And so there was a 2-point deficit there. And then we had Bruce Willis as our actor or director. So I wound up just going toe to toe with him on that one. And then we hit our third round. He missed his 3 questions because I was up on him by a few points. And yeah, I wound up getting the TKO on him. And so that was the first match that I wound up having. But yeah, in terms of online trivia, yeah, the first match I had was with you guys. And then the first team match I have, once again, was with you guys. Grant wound up getting me to play with him. I'm sorry I keep doing that. My freaking cord just keeps popping out like for some friggin' reason.
No,
And
it's okay.
I'm getting screwed royally. All right, there we go. But yeah, no, the singles and team stuff, the first stuff I ever did was all with you guys. And so you guys really got me into these leagues, and then wound up playing in multiplex and a few other different leagues and whatnot. And yeah, just that was really what got me into it. So
Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm honored that, yeah, I remember talking to you, in the beginning, like, hey, man, you think you want to play a match? And you're like, oh, yeah, man, maybe. Let's see what's about. And
well,
we've
you
been there.
forgot my last name in the first match that I ever played.
Yep. I know.
Sean Sicario. And
Yeah,
Caleb just goes,
that's one.
Sandberg.
That's one of those things which I have to improve on. It's just you
You
meet
met
so
me
many
5
people.
minutes before that entire match went down, man.
Yeah.
You met me like 5 minutes before that whole match went down. Believe me, that's not something that I'm mad about. I just thought it was funny. I was like, Caleb had to be like, Sandberg.
Yeah, that's one of the things. We're not professionals here. This is kind of on a whim, and
Oh man,
it's been
it's all for
a hell of
fun.
a ride, ups and downs. What's what's one of your favorite aspects about the whole online community? Like you said, you played in multiple different leagues, because there's other ones out there, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
What's your favorite aspect about playing? And well, I'll give it to you. What is your favorite aspect about all of it?
Um, I love competing, much like what Grant said. I love competing, but my favorite aspect of all this stuff isn't even that. It's the friends I wind up making through these different leagues. Like, you and I have had multiple conversations on the phone. I talked to Woodburn quite a bit. Grant, I talked to, before I started working, it was every day, and now it's just, multiple times a week. Um, but yeah, I'd say it's definitely the friendships that you wind up making because of a mutual love. And it's almost the same thing as if you go to like a camp or something like that, where you're all interested in the same thing. Like I went to guitar camp for a number of years, and because we all had the exact same interest, we all became really great friends as a byproduct of that. And I kind of view this as very like an online version of that. Like Haven, you and I have never been in the same room with one another, but you and I have had conversations about life and difficulties and a whole bunch of stuff that we
Yeah.
probably haven't had with people that we see on a regular basis. And that
Yeah.
that to me is the coolest thing about these leagues.
Yep, I wholeheartedly agree with that. It's the friendships you make. It's truly unique and it's genuine and it's just amazing, you know, because you're in Canada. For all the people that don't know, you're Canadian, and Grant
Yeah.
Australian, and you guys became the best of friends, you know,
Yeah.
through the love of the Schmodown, meeting each other, you know, playing trivia, and you guys have a great relationship now, and it's awesome, man. And I'm glad to be a part of it. You know, you guys are good friends of mine, and it's amazing how, you know, you talk to people, you know, more through this than some people you actually see like in your everyday lives. You know, like these people
Oh,
are
yeah.
important, you know. But
Well, it's funny because Grant says to me all the time, it's like, you realize we wouldn't actually be best friends if it wasn't for Haven. Because you
oh
wound up
shit,
ribbing him that one time on
you
the
made me blush.
on the
Don't do that.
Photoshop thing that he did. And so
You
because
make
of
me
that, he
blush.
joined with the league, and then he met with Mark, and Mark said, "Hey, have you talked to Sean?" And then he and I started talking, and then boom, you know, almost a year later, he and I are best friends, like he said. So really weirdly enough, you just throwing a little bit of shade his way wound up making it so that he and I were best, you know, he and I are best friends. And so like that, believe me, that's the coolest thing in the world to me. It's very bizarre how shit like that works out.
Yeah, it is beautiful. You right now you've kind of been on a break, you know, because life, you know, you're working, you know, you're a man, you know,
Yeah.
you're paying your bills, you're working, you know, you have a real life.
Yeah.
You left off, I believe you're 3-0. You're gonna come back in a couple weeks. Have you actually lost a match anywhere?
Um, I've lost I've lost two matches. Um, I, this is going to sound kind of terrible a little bit. I don't really view my full medal losses as being losses because I was in the lead on people by usually about 3 or 4 points. And
Oh yeah.
then if you miss one question in those rounds, you lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
sure, yeah, you can. I mean, look, if you want to look at that as a loss, you're totally fair to do so. Personally, I don't, just because if you're in the lead on somebody by that much and you lose by one question, it really, to me, is kind of irrelevant. It's like
yeah.
I
No,
outscored you. That's it. But otherwise, the only two matches I've ever lost were me and John Salvi against Paulo Yama and Michael Campbell, and the other one was to Alex Warden. But otherwise, you know, I've never lost a match. But yeah, so I've lost two, as far as I'm concerned.
my last question, well, maybe my last question. You like you and Grant now. Grant he joined us now with the
Mm.
he added the comic book league here.
Yeah.
You know, tag teams coming up in September. You guys are the Sons of Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that name come from? Did you guys how did that come about?
He and I are just huge DC fans, like comic book wise. And so, you know, we just went with something that we really enjoy. We really love characters like Darkseid and Barda and Mr. Miracle and Granny Goodness. And so we were just like, okay, Sons of Apocalypse, as opposed to like, you know, the Female Furies. And so we just wound
Yeah,
up coming up with something in regards to that. And we just used that. And that was the way it all came about.
awesome. Before we head out here, there's a lot of guys that joined the Jack of all trivia
Mm.
before well they joined now. You probably seen a couple of them playing matches. You haven't played against
Yeah.
them. Now that you're going to be back, is there one thing you want to cut a promo on these guys? Let them know what's going to go down when they face you.
I mean, at the end of the day, cutting a promo is cool, I guess, but you'll figure out what happens when I play you. That's about it.
Okay, short and sweet. So you don't have
No,
you want
I'm
to say
not going to
nothing?
go on some long ass Alex Warden style promo. It's just, look, I'm here to play. I'm not here to really talk a whole bunch of shit. I'm just here to be like, hey, look, when you play me, you'll find out what happens. You know, if you're better than me, then good for you. If you want to play, I'm more than happy to play anybody. That's it.
Nice. Before we head out, I know one of your big passions is music.
Mm-hmm.
you play instrument. You play an instrument. What do you
Yeah, I
play?
play guitar and I sing.
Nice, nice. Have you let me know a little bit. Let the viewers know a little bit about that, because I know I've
Oh,
heard you play
okay.
the guitar before. You're fucking awesome. So if you want to tell the people how you got involved with that, you know, who your
Okay,
inspiration
yeah,
are.
sure. So I've been playing guitar as of September 7th. I will have been playing 15 years.
Oh,
Yes, I remember the day that I started playing guitar. That's kind of how OCD I am. Um, I went to Musicians Institute in Hollywood, California for university or college rather. I
nice.
wound up going there. I studied there for about 2 years and wound up coming back home. And yeah, I've been singing since I was 14 years old. And yeah, that's mainly it in terms of the way that I got started with that. I'm probably going to be starting up a jam in the next couple of months, where we're going to be playing every single Sunday. If anybody from the in Canada, really, if you ever fly out to Ontario, feel free to come by and hang out and stuff. I'd love to see you. Whether that be like Sandy or Brooklyn or whoever, feel free to come by and hopefully I'll see you.
That's
And
awesome, man.
Haven, if you ever fly up to Canada, you've always got a place to stay, and you do come up to that jam as well.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm working on for next year. I'm working on a passport, and I want to start actually meeting some of these guys, man, because you guys are like literally friends of mine.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
It's just amazing, the people you meet here and the friendships that grow. Before we head out, Sean Sicario Sandberg, where can the good people find you, brother?
You can find me at Sandberg Sean on Twitter. You can find me at Sean Sandberg on Facebook. You can join up with the Deep Cuts Movie League if you feel so inclined. Hopefully, we're going to be getting back into the swing of things. And yeah, you can find me at Jack of All Trivia. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much, Sean, for your time. I'm so glad to know you personally. I'm glad that you're a player
Same
here.
goes, brother.
You have great input, great insight, just a great human being all around.
Oh, thank you, man.
I can't wait to get you back in the ring, and I hope everybody that watches this, I hope everybody that watches this after they see this, they have a new favorite, because you are a great person, and of course, I am the villain. Which everybody says, "Man, you're so nice. How are you the villain?" I don't know. Maybe I got to start kicking pregnant women or something on video so people can see me doing dastardly deeds. But
Jesus Christ, you Alec Baldwin in the cooler all of a sudden? My God.
And of course, this is Jack of All Trivia. I want to thank Sean for his time. I want to thank everybody that watches.
Thank you for having me.
And, everybody, have a great day. We are out.